Hey everyone, I hope you've been having an amazing week so far. I'm Kunda. Last week I was at Evolve. It was a great time. I previously posted one of the sets, or most of one of the sets. It's the last video I posted. I suggest you go check it out. It's great. But I was also thinking about vlogging my adventure kind of thing. I did Maritimers United for Medical Marijuana's Harvest Festival last Friday. And then for the rest of the weekend, I went up to Evolve. And I'm really happy with the Evolve site. I'm really impressed with Evolve this year. It's been a few years since I've been there. I came back this year, and I'll probably be going to Evolve for as many more years as I can, kind of thing. It was a great time. But yeah, I wasn't happy with the footage that I took for my vlog. I could have done better, so I'm not going to do that. But I want to show you a couple of the speeches that went on. There were some really good speeches there. I'm going to upload the two speeches separately. The first one that I'm going to upload is a speech on festivals and your rights and what your rights are in those situations, and it's a pretty useful one to watch. It doesn't only apply to festivals, but it's good in that context as well.
Oh, you said I could look. So remember, I don't consent to any searches in your car. And have all your shit together, your registration. That's very important. When you're going into the festival grounds, you do have rights too, even though you're on the grounds of Evolve or coming in, even though your ticket says you can be searched and everything. That's true, but bear in mind, that's just on your entry in, and that's for security, for safety reasons, for weapons, for glass, stuff like that. Good things. That doesn't mean when you're around here you can be stopped. Cops can't stop you randomly on the site and search you. If one starts, don't start a fight. Just say you don't consent to the search and pay attention. Maybe have one of your friends film the encounter and you're allowed to do that. But keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind, I would say, is your tent is your castle. It's just like your dwelling house at home. It's your house when you're here, your tent, your camper, whatever you're staying in. For that reason, police or people just can't go in and start looking through your shit. The police or anybody knocks at your door, your tent door, and they want to talk to you, come out of your tent and zipper it up. Because once they come in, they can start looking around. Just like if you're having a house party at the house and the police knock on the door, say, hey, it's a little noisy, mind if we step in? No, you just say, no, sir, and you just close the door. You step on your porch. Not that anything's going to happen. Once they're in there, they start looking around, they do this, they see something, they search your friends, they freak people out, whatever. So you don't give them any grounds to have any probable cause to do any further searches. And a lot of it's common sense. Another thing to remember is, it's important to remember, police can be our friends too. They're just doing a job. They have families, their superiors might be telling them, I want you to stop 50 cars, blah, blah, blah. They got to do it, right? And most of the time they won't be dicks, but like any job, sometimes they can be people and whatever, and they can cause problems. But be polite, okay? They have a job to do. If there's some nut running around with a gun, someone dying of a heart attack, they'll be the ones there to perform CPR. They'll be the ones there to help. So they can be our friends. It's good to have positive interaction with the police. But by knowing your rights, you can minimize the negative interactions. Another thing I think is important for good festival goers to be mindful of is something called the Good Samaritan Act. With the opiate crisis we have in our country and others, and a lot of drugs being adulterated, there's a concern about someone ODing, whether sometimes taking a substance they didn't mean to take. The Good Samaritan Act is something, if you're with somebody and the person's in distress and you call the authorities, you can't be charged if you're doing drugs with that person or in an event, something like that. It's to encourage people to call so someone doesn't think, oh shit, I'll get in trouble too. Maybe I'll just put ice on their head and they're okay. And no, you call. You call the authorities, okay? So what the Good Samaritan Act is, it would insulate people, if you call the people who are with the person in distress. If they're under a probation order, they won't get charged with that breach. Probation order would typically be you don't use intoxicants, but you won't get charged with that. If you're high but you call because your friend's ODing, that'll protect you. Parole or a conditional sentence or pretrial release, you won't get arrested again for any of that. It doesn't protect about outstanding warrants or some other crime, like someone murdered somebody, and then there's someone ODing and they call, oh, well, look at that, I can't charge me with a murder. Well, of course they can. But it does if someone's participating in some activity involving drugs and someone's ODing, it insulates you from being charged for using them or possessing them, okay? It doesn't cover trafficking, so if you had a pound of drugs and somebody's selling them, and that's part of it, acknowledged, no, it wouldn't cover that. But for use, and if someone's with somebody at a party, please call the authorities if someone's in distress. And have the naloxone kits. So I have a few here. They're worth getting training and having them at Evolve. I know we have a few at our camp. So Another thing I want to talk about festivals, and we had the consent kittens here before. Everybody's kind of feeling good. People hook up sometimes. People aren't sure the messages you're dancing, whatever. Just be really clear in your intentions with people. People like it. If you're unsure, if you say to someone, hey, do you want to go back to my camp? Would you like to get together? You can say that, and someone might say yes or no. They might say, yeah, what a great idea. But if they say no, they know too. And then no one's confused. No one's feasibly going down a path they don't want to go. So that's kind of consent is cool, and being clarity is cool. People are kind of scared sometimes from fear to express what he or she might want. You know, they see some guys, see some girls, see whatever, but it's good to express that. And people should have respect if someone expresses that, even if you're not interested, because that makes things kind of cool, because consent is cool, and having clarity and communication is really important at festivals, particularly when we're in this whirlwind of music and everything else. So that's something I think we got to all sort of do more of too, and I think people are, and that's a positive thing. I'm also going to talk a little bit about some urban myths in relation to interactions with the police. And I got a couple charts here I'll give people too. One's kind of funny. I don't think we're worried about this at Evolve. It's a big issue in the States, though. An undercover officer I have to ask him if he's a cop. He has to tell me the truth. No. Can you imagine? No, Mr. Big Crime Drug Syndicate. You got me busted. I'm a police officer. Damn, you asked me. No, of course not. They don't have to tell you anything. They can lie to your face. They can say, hey, I was just with your friend and just got really high with them. Can you sell me one hit of Molly, please? Can you? And they can lie to your face. They can say, hey, your buddies, I busted them. They said you bought all these drugs and are selling them. They just told me all this, but I want you to tell me the truth. They're making that up. Don't say anything. Don't talk. And realize that, you know, I don't think it's happening at Evolve, but some festivals it does. But bear in mind, that's a myth. The police, you know, don't have to tell you what they're doing. They can be undercover. They can get information. So just be mindful of that. Okay, if you ever have any bad vibes and with things, you don't want to be paranoid, but just be aware of that. As I talked about too, cars going to festivals, that's a big thing. Don't make your car rolling probable cause. Even though cannabis is legal, don't have rolling papers and weed all over your dash. They think you're impaired in driving. They can stop and then search you. Okay, maybe seize your car. Look respectful. Don't be looking totally wrote off or, you know, like try to look decent. You're coming in to have fun, that's okay. But you don't want to give them more probable cause to give you a hassle. It's just common sense. You'd be surprised some people who don't do that. Okay? So again, be polite in your interactions with them. Have your license ready, your registration. Give it to them. Don't discuss your day. You can say, yeah, going to the festival. And they keep asking other questions. Say, look, I really don't want to discuss my day. I just want to get there. Am I free to go, sir? Or ma'am, am I free to go, constable? Okay, thank you. Have a good day. Thank you for what you're doing, police officer. And then you'll go. If not, am I being detained? And don't consent to any searches. That's very, very important. Another thing to keep in mind too is if you're in somebody's camp or tent, or even you're at a house party, that person's the one that owns the tent or owns the house, owns the right to have privacy on that household. They kind of own it. Their charter rights go with the person who owns it. Okay? So if you're the person who owns it, you don't invite the police in. If the person who owns it invites the police in, they can look around, but they still can't come up to you and start searching you. They still need grounds. So if you're on the premises, keep that in mind, okay? Just like if they say, hey, I want to look in that backpack, say, no, I really don't want you to. That's my private stuff. No, I don't really free to discuss my day. Am I being detained? Why am I being detained? You're not going to get in any worse trouble by saying no. If anything, you're going to prevent yourself from getting in difficulties or being hassled or delayed or having your stuff torn apart. Yeah.
Will the cops take advantage of if a guest opens the door?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, police will walk in if the guests open the door and walk around, sure. So if you have a party and you're having a banger, it's usually good to tell the guests, you know, just don't let anybody in. Or if the police come and knock on the door, just say yeah and step outside and shut the door and say, yeah, I'll get the owner and get me. It's the best thing to do. I mean, most of the time they're just there for noise complaints. And half the time they wish they were partying too, you know, and they'll just look around. But while they're doing that, sometimes they can hassle people, arrest people, freak people out, thinking, you know, I'm bored. I'll start asking these guys questions, ask for IDs. Maybe someone's here on a warrant. And it could be a real buzzkill. It's unnecessary, okay? But good question. So I have a little flow chart here I'm going to give out. Just says if a cop stops you at a festival, and you can follow that. Am I free to leave? Yes, it's a consensual encounter. You go. In New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, in most provinces, you have to give them your license and registration and everything. Everybody in the car doesn't have to give their license. Okay, but the driver does, your insurance and registration, so make sure they're up to date. Make sure the car is safety inspected. Then thank you, and you're free to go. Am I free to go? If I'm not free to go, am I being detained? And then now am I free to leave? You know, because they may say one thing, and then am I under arrest? I don't consent to any searches. So it's just those things you have to remember in your head and ingrain, because naturally you want to talk and engage more. But if you stick to that, it'll make your interactions much more professional and hassle-free. Even if you don't have any reason to be hassled, why be held up? Why take a risk? Why, be delayed and have someone look through your bag? And again, there might be someone traveling with you. You don't know what that person has or doesn't have. They may borrow a friend's backpack that has something in it that they didn't even know about, and it's tied into you now. So don't consent to any searches ever. Question? Yeah.
If let's say they search your car, if it's not yours, like, whoever's driving, are they responsible for?
Well, good question. Yes and no. They would probably be the one they charged, and they may charge everybody in the car, but they still have to prove whose it was. So if there's 5 people in a car, they have to prove what person's it was, and it might be hard to prove it's everybody's. So, yeah, but if it's a person's, if the person owns the car, they'll typically say it's that person. But then again, if everybody starts talking, they might narrow it down. It's better just to shut up, right?